I'm going to take a deep breath because I'm going to talk about everybody's least favorite topic: crime and policing. We all want low crime neighborhoods. We all want equal access to justice. We all want justice and law enforcement to be fair and balanced. We don't want anyone dying in the streets, but more importantly, we don't want communities of color singled out disproportionately. We want the world to be fair. If you don't, you're probably not part of the ethos of this country, but I'm going to speak to those who are. We need to stop with the zero-sum equation that you have to be anti-police to be pro-social justice or anti-social justice to be pro-police. It is possible to be pro-law and order and pro-social justice at the same time. And I don't mean that as a siren call to either side. I mean that truly and genuinely. Let's start where we all agree. We agree that we don't want cops showing up to places that they're not trained for and that are a drain on their resources. They are law enforcement officers. So does it make sense to have them show up to every single call? No. Mental health experts, addiction experts, domestic violence mediators, all can do a better job in certain situations. We all want the right people to show up in the right situations. Even cops don't want to be burdened with having to respond to every single thing. They would like to focus on their real job, which is preventing and fighting crime, real crime. So let's start there. Okay, so we all agree that the right people should show up in the right place at the right time. Okay, well, how much money is necessary to do that? And who is needed to do that? Let's not talk about slashing other people's budgets just yet. Let's just talk about where those resources should go and how much it costs. Let's start where we agree. And then when we agree on how much it costs and we agree on who shows up and who should show up, then we can talk about where we find the money from. And trust me, I've looked at the city budget. It's enough to put you asleep 72 times over, but there are billions of dollars in wasteful spending across the budget in every department. We can find a lot of places to save. It baffles me that we're talking about job cuts across the board in order to help the city balance its budget when I look at those budgets and I wonder how we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars in certain areas, but that's a separate conversation. Instead, we're talking about coming to an agreement on who shows up when and how much money it costs to do that, and then looking together across our budget with where to find it. The answer is reforms are necessary, but they're also very clear. The Department of Justice's task force on 21st century policing also helps us build a stronger, better relationship with the police. It's not just about showing up in the right places at the right time with the right budget. We've agreed on that. Now let's move forward to when the police do show up. What is their relationship to the community? How do we build a fairer, more balanced society? Well, for starters, police need to live in the communities they serve. They need to be a part of those programs and those communities. They need to have community partnership programs as requirements, not optional. We need to support the good work of the officers who are doing it and acknowledge the important and essential role they play in keeping us safe. Police and law enforcement are not the villains inherently. At the same time, we need to establish a zero-tolerance policy for bias, excessive force, and corruption. And of course, we all know LA's storied history when it comes to corruption, but we have moved beyond that somewhat, and we can continue to move beyond it. We need to set role models for training, diversity, and accessibility. We need to promote the vast majority of our law enforcement officers who do good, honest work while aggressively working to eliminate bad apples through a joint Citizens Police Oversight Commission that's independent. And I know that there are a lot of things in here that police unions and police think is anti-police. They think we're coming for them, but we're not. We're simply asking that everyone have a seat at the table, including law enforcement officers and the communities they serve. It seems basic. Let's come together with the same sense of productive discourse that can define who shows up where and at what cost. Let's start where we agree. Nobody wants a bad apple. Everybody wants a fairer system. All right, now let's go and do it. It's simple. If our law enforcement officers are part of the communities they serve, and we support the good work they do while working together to eliminate the bad apples, we've solved 90% of the problem, and there will always be mistakes. There will always be tragedies, and one tragedy is a tragedy too many. But we're not going to get anywhere with puritanical positions that say we need to speak in blanket statements or egregious generalizations. We're only going to get there with responsible, engaged, respectful discourse that respects the need for law and order in society and the need for actual social and criminal justice reform at the same time. That's how we build consensus. And that's how we move forward. I don't have all the answers, but together as a community, working with each other instead of shouting at each other, we collectively do. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to The World According to Craig. This is just my opinion, and I hope maybe you'll agree. And even if you don't, that we can have a dialogue about it. Because in A World According to Craig, the world is better when we're talking with each other rather than at each other.